Got Eternal Oketra versus Gadwick the Wizened with a terrible hand that we're immediately going to get rid of. Coercive Portal is more card draw. Cavern of Souls gets rid of counter magic for a select number of creatures. We will keep there and get rid of a Plains. And then I don't think we have Misspell Plains in this deck, but we'll soon find out. That's a tapped Plains, so we'll get that out of the way nice and early. No, we do not have this. And I obviously built this deck before the new full art snow-covered basics came out, so I'm going to have to revisit this deck and maybe squeeze in an extra planar lens along with the snow-covered plains. Serum Visions for our opponent on turn 1. And speaking of mana doubling, there is a Caged Sun. Let's just go open the armory here. Might as well grab something. And I think I'm just going to go for Skull Clamp here and hope for a small creature. It might just be that we have to wait until our commander comes out and then we put the Skull Clamp onto our commander. And for those of you who don't know, with these God Eternals, you can put them into your library third from the top, and then when they die, and they have to die in order to trigger, you'll draw 2 cards with Skull Clamp and you'll end up with your God Eternal on top of the library. So Skull Clamp very good with these cards. A Silvermere for our opponent. Don't think I want to go for Swords to Plowshares on that. So we'll just name Zombie with Cavern of Souls and make our commander unblockable or uncounterable. Then I don't think we have to worry about artifact removal, so we'll get the Skull Clamp down. Tribute Mage comes down, and I think that's an artifact of 2 CMC. Yes, it is. And they're grabbing Umezawa's Jitte. Luckily, we've got Return to Dust. We do not, however, have the mana to cast Return to Dust. So we'll just keep our fingers crossed here. Alright, that's really not what we wanted. We've drawn 3 cards here and not gotten into another land. Or any ramp. So that's pretty unlucky. We are just going to have to hold up Swords to Plowshares again, I think. Probably go for the swords on whatever the Umezawa's Jitte goes on to. Okay, Grand Architect. Grand Architect into a Sol Ring. And then down comes the Jitte. That probably goes on Tribute Mage, ready to swing in. And that's exactly what happens. Then we'll allow our opponent to tap down the Tribute Mage. Don't think it'll make a difference, but it's a good habit to get into. Then we will Swords on that so that our opponent doesn't get any counters on the Jitte. And now if we get a land, we're definitely going for Return to Dust. Oh dear. And Knight of the White Orchid doesn't help either, does it? Well, we'll play it anyway because it's a Skull Clamp trigger, hopefully. This is a 3-1 with first strike though, so it might keep our opponent from swinging in. Another tutor from our opponent. That one is the 3 CMC artifact. And this time they go for Vidalcan Shackles so they can steal our Knight of the White Orchid from us. And then they have free reign to put the Umezawa's Jitte onto something. They won't be able to swing in at least. Alright, well, a Mana Crypt. Still not getting into lands for some strange reason, but there's a Mana Crypt at least, so that will progress our mana. And let's go Return to Dust on Vidalcan Shackles and the Jitte. And our opponent scoops to that. Of course he does. Why wouldn't you scoop to that? They've got way more mana than us. Way more threatening board state than we do. Maybe they've just got a grip full of lands. Let's see what our draws were going to be. Well, there's finally some lands. Yeah, I don't think we had anything particularly frightening going on there. Probably would have gotten down Coercive Portal next turn. No, we would have gone for the Caged Sun next turn. So that would have ramped us because we would have had 6 mana with the plains. And yeah, who knows? They didn't even go in to cast their commander. They could have gotten how many into X? 1, 2, 3 into X. Draw 3 cards, and it's a 3/3 body. Yeah, so I don't really know why our opponent scooped there, but just goes to show that you shouldn't give up because you never know what's going to happen. Okay, I just decided to play this player again because I had a feeling that something like this might happen. Worst case scenario, we play them again, beat them again, and they probably ban us because they're obviously a very petty individual. Don't even have Cavern of Souls in our opening hand, so I don't know how you expect to improve as a player if you don't want to play around certain cards and you just choose to avoid them as opposed to learning how to play against them. Also, didn't know that our opponent's deck was budget. I mean, they had some really good cards there in Jitte and Sol Ring and all the rest of it. But hey, apparently that's not good enough to beat us. Okay, let's try again and see if we can play against someone that isn't going to be too scared of us. Got Eternal Oketra versus Sir Gwyn, Hero of Ashvale. And I have not had the best of luck with Sir Gwyn in 1 versus 1, so I would be more than happy to take some pointers from my opponent. Windbrisk Heights. Yeah, let's get the tap land done because we're not too desperate to cast anything this turn. And I think we need to swing in with 3 or more creatures to proc that. Hiding an Elish Norn underneath sounds good. Yes, I think that's the most relevant card for actually getting off this ability. And it is, you can pay the exiled card if you attack with 3 or more creatures this turn, yes, so that is definitely what that does. Now let's have a look at this. That is, when it attacks, create a soldier token. Are we going to be fast enough to deal with that? Yeah, I don't really want to progress. If we had Swords to Plowshares, I'd actually get rid of that thing because it's going to take over pretty quickly, but I think we're just going to have to keep our fingers crossed for a board wipe or an Elish Norn. I don't really think that we are going to make use of a Walking Atlas, so let's just go for Lightning Greaves. And if we get into a land next turn, we can always go Walking Atlas and Honour of the Pure and a land. And then if we get into something like Land Tax, then Walking Atlas will actually become useful to us. That's the reason it's in the deck, so that we can make multiple land drops a turn, which white isn't typically very good at. But our opponent is managing to ramp with the Orzhov Signet, and then going in for a Stoneforge Mystic. Luckily for us, we've got a Disenchant, so unless it's indestructible, we should be able to deal with whatever they tutor for. The question is, do we exile Stoneforge Mystic because they're planning to cheat equipment costs? That is a Hero's Blade. And it's +3/+2, so that's not too worrying, I don't think. We'll let them swing in. And they get their soldier token down. And we do not get into that land. We're not having the best of luck with lands here, are we? We've got 37 in the deck. I mean, probably just Honour of the Pure for the sake of having it in play. And still holding up this Path to Exile. Unfortunately for us, our opponent is not struggling on making lands. They haven't missed a land drop yet. Oh, Pure Steel Paladin as well. Wow, they've got everything they need. This is the problem with my Sir Gwyn deck, is that I don't draw into Pure Steel Paladin and Stoneforge Mystic and all that at the same time. They tend to be spread out throughout the course of the game. So Hero's Blade comes into play. And they will draw a card thanks to Pure Steel Paladin. They don't have Metalcraft yet, so they can't equip that for free. But I imagine they're aiming to get their commander down next turn, and a Skull Clamp as well. Well, that's a hell of a hand our opponent's got. I think we have to save path for our opponent's commander. Yeah, still no lands for us. We've just been way too slow here, I think. It's a case of holding on to Disenchant and Path to Exile, methinks. Okay. Yeah, my opponent's really making fun of us here. This is Sol Ring, Stoneforge Mystic, Pure Steel Paladin, Skull Clamp, not missing any land drops. They're getting into all their mana rocks. This is working way better than my Sir Gwyn deck usually does in 1v1. And there is Sir Gwyn, Hero of Ashvale. Then, in response to that trigger, we're going to go for the Swords to Plowshares onto Sir Gwyn. They're just going to be able to get her out again next turn. I suppose we could have gone for a Walking Atlas and then Path to Exiled our own creature to get the ramp, but decided not to go for that, obviously. Then I'm going to go for Disenchant onto the Skull Clamp as well. I think it's too good to leave in play, because our opponent's got all the mana in the world to cast whatever it is that they draw into with that. Then swinging in with everything again. A lot of white weenies coming in at us. We are knocked down to 17. Finally get into a land. I think we'll draw an extra card next turn with Coercive Portal. We don't want to give our opponent the Monarchy. Palace Jailer gets rid of something, but they just take the Monarchy straight back off us and we can't get it back from them. Yeah, so let's go for the Coercive Portal here. In 1 versus 1, it doesn't matter how you vote. You, as the owner of Coercive Portal, can force the draw. And that means that you draw a card every turn. Only occurs in 1 versus 1 though. And down comes Sir Gwyn again immediately. 3 cards in our opponent's hand. They've got 2 mana held up. They may be able to cheat out an equipment with Stoneforge Mystic. And instead of putting it on Sir Gwyn, decide to put it on the Sky Knight Vanguard, getting their 4th soldier token here. And they will lose a life and draw a card with Sir Gwyn as well, because that knight is swinging in and it is equipped. We are knocked down to 6. We're not winning this one, but we will play it out anyway. Hopefully our opponent doesn't drag his feet too long. Cavern of Souls gets us into another land, but it's too little too late for us. We could get rid of... yeah, we could have 2 creatures in play. We can get rid of our opponent's commander and that thing. Then that would be 3, 4, 5, 6 and 7 swinging in. We block 2 of it. Oh no, we could only block 1 of it with Palace Jailer, couldn't we? Yeah. Well, we'll play out the Palace Jailer anyway, we're not doing anything else. Or would it be more intelligent to go for... let's go for Walking Atlas instead, just so that we've got a blocker. And then we go for Darksteel Mutation onto Sir Gwyn. And then it's 4, 5, 6. Yeah, we've still got that in the air. We couldn't cast the Palace Jailer and the Darksteel Mutation, unfortunately. I thought we could. And we don't have a land to cheat out with the Walking Atlas, so let's just pass the turn. Couldn't get anything done this time, unfortunately. And we haven't really done anything with God Eternal Oketra this video, so I think the right thing to do would be to get another game going and see if we can actually cast. And see if we can actually cast our commander and get some zombies going. Our opponent being very respectful and just swinging in straight away for the victory. So we'll say good game to them. And we saw a very good Sir Gwyn deck go off there. Like I said, unfortunately I don't tend to draw into all these really good cards that are actually in my deck. Yeah, I don't seem to have much luck with Sir Gwyn in 1 versus 1, so I have mentioned before that I think it might have to be multiplayer for her. Anyway, let's get on with another one and see if we can actually draw into some mana. Well, I just thought I'd try my luck again. He does know that you can block people then. Okay, alright, stop messing around now. I'm gonna leave him alone. God, Eternal Oketra, trying our luck with Jired, Conclave Exile. And guess what? We've got no lands in hand, so let's try mulligan. Yeah, it's one of those days, isn't it? Oh, God, right. Okay, well, we're on the draw at least. I'm going to keep this because if I mulligan, I'm not going to have any lands. Let's ditch that and pass. As you can see, Magic Online would like to show you all the changes I've made to the deck between games. Gone for extra planar lens, swapped out the Spear of Heliod for that, and changed the lands over to snow-covered plains as well. So let's see if we can actually make some use of that. I dare say our opponent might have some basic plains in the deck, but we'll see if they are snow-covered or not. And they start things off with a Birds of Paradise. We get into that Cavern of Souls again. That is worth more than some people's entire deck, and therefore shouldn't be played. Ketra's Monument I'm not against, so we'll probably go for that on turn 3. And maybe extra planar lens on turn 4. Obviously we need to see what we draw into first. I dare say we're seeing our opponent's commander here, so a board wipe wouldn't be the worst thing for us. No, not seeing that. Oh, it's land destruction. Okay. So our opponent is a more competitive player perhaps. Swords to Plowshares is going to get rid of our opponent's commander maybe. Let's just drop a plains and see what we can do with the swords. We could go for the Birds of Paradise and hope that our opponent doesn't drop a land. Yeah, if our opponent doesn't drop a land, then they're even further away from their commander. In fact, yeah, let's do that. Now there's that land. Well, we're getting into lands finally. Fortunately, it seems to be most of what we've drawn into this game. Let's get down the Orchestra's Monument, and then we can go for our God Eternal Oketra next turn. And see where we want to go from there. We'll block their Jired quite effectively with our God Eternal Oketra. And our zombies are 4/4s, I think. Yeah, so they'll trade nicely with the Rhino. They do have trample, so chump blocking with the warriors won't be the greatest, but we'll be able to chump block something else that doesn't have trample at least. I'm assuming there's more than one token is going to come out. Okay, Rex Sage on that. They've got plenty of removal in this deck, haven't they? Rex Sage on that isn't as bad as extra planar lens. So we can go, we can get down the Walking Atlas here. So let's go extra planar lens. And they do not have snow-covered basics, which is exactly what you do with the extra planar lens. You name snow-covered basics so that your opponent's basics usually can't tap for the 2 mana. But something tells me we're not winning this one. Tap that down for 2 mana now and go for the Walking Atlas. Okay, everything's swinging in now, and is this going to take us out? 4, 8, 12 and 16? Not quite, but nearly. Followed by a Primeval Bounty, so that will get some nice buffs from our opponent. They've got way more lands than us, don't they? So when it enters, you can search for a bunch of plains. I mean, we've got lands to play. So we will go in for our God Eternal Oketra. And we're not doing anything here as far as I can tell, but yeah, I don't think we can get out enough to keep our opponent from going wide on us. Let's just drop a plains and we'll cast the Orchestral Explorer. That will get us into a free zombie, so we're seeing at least a little bit of what we want to do with this deck, but it just hasn't been our day today. You've seen the hands that we've had to play, you've seen the cards we've drawn, you've seen the mulligans that we've made, and we're going to get a couple of plains here. Oh no, just one plains. And then, yeah, we can tap down the Walking Atlas in response to it blocking something, but I don't think that we can keep our opponent from killing us off here. They get another Rhino next turn, and the Rhinos will trample through our toughness anyway. And then just respectfully turning everything sideways, not wasting any time. We've had a nice contrast of players this video. So we block like that, like that, like that, and that, and that. They get 8 power through, and we will, in response to the Walking Atlas dying, get out an extra land. And that's us done. So, as you no doubt can all tell, I've just decided to pretty much give up on God Eternal Oketra for this video. This can just be some kind of comedy mess about type gameplay, and hopefully you've all gotten the odd laugh out of it here and there. I'll revisit God Eternal Oketra in the not too distant future because I do really like playing this commander. It's just not our day for this deck apparently. So hopefully you all got some enjoyment from this video anyway. I'm tribalkai on the EDH channel. Thank you for watching.